South East Queensland meet the Papua New Guinea Kumals in a historic encounter today at Lang Park. For the Queenslanders, it's their final selection trial for the team to meet New South Wales, and for the Papuans, it's their chance to prove that they're a team worthy of full international recognition. Let's look at this Papuan side. Running through their names, Kungas Kavo is the fullback. The wingers are Kuri Neal and Walu Kapani, who once scored 7 tries in a game. The centres, John Lingham and David Tinamo, the captain. The halves, John Joseph and Jory Ajoffa. Lock forward is John Wagambi. Second rowers are Yuta Ayoko and Jack Wananara. And the front row, Philip Ralder, Linus Geni and Tara Gow. And the coach of the side, Uvi Sabamai. Now the Datsun South Queensland side, or South East Queensland as we'll call them today. Colin Scott fullback, Brad Backer and Gene Miles the wingers, Mal Meninga and Chris Close the centres, Wally Lewis and Terry Saunders the halves, Norm Carr lock forward, Chris Phelan and Rowan Hancock the second rowers, Brad Rowcliffe, Gary Prickett and Arthur Beetson, the captain of the side, making up the front row. And the referee today is Keith Bickle. Well, it's a cool, fine but very blustery day today at Lang Park, and a match I think that's going to be full of interest. What do you make of it, Dave?
Well, Peter, one thing for sure, that the Papua New Guinea side, we can expect the unexpected. They've got an unorthodox style of play, and it's going to certainly cause problems to a South East Queensland defence. A defence that was anything but secure or sound last week against Queensland country. Similarly, the Papua New Guineans will have problems in defence because the South East Queensland side has a very strong, fast attacking unit and a more positive style of attack. And it's that attack, I think, that's going to give us some terrific attacking highlights in this afternoon's match.
David Tinamo leads out the colourful Kumals, this colourful team from Papua New Guinea, playing for the first time at Lang Park in that brilliant splash of colour with those red, black and gold jerseys. Although outweighed by over 10 kilograms a man, the Kumals have an impressive record. They beat France in 1977 in Port Moresby, and in 79 were narrowly beaten in both tests in France. The name Kumal is pigeon for the bird of paradise, the symbol of Papua New Guinea. So let's hope that their play lives up to this colourful image. There were some good performances in the curtain raiser between CBA Brisbane and Datsun Country. Outstanding were Ross Henrik, Joe Kilroy, Brian Niebling, Jay Hoffman, Mark Murray, Marshall Caldwell and Barry Laffin. So these players will really have to play right up to their best form to clinch a spot in the state side. That's the quarter line. South East Queensland's chance to attack. Tinamo going low, making a tackle with help over the top from a couple of players. Saunders, Beetson, Scott. Actually, you can't blame the South East Queenslanders. The Kumals have got the war paint on their faces. They look quite terrifying. Wally Lewis, a lovely long pass to Prickett. Meninga, he could score from here if he winds up, but he's well and truly contained by a couple of tacklers. Geni was one of them. Prickett. One to go for South East Queensland. Look for Lewis. He'd be the tactical kicker in the side, but he's not getting this one. Saunders is caught. That's a scrum. Very small front row from the New Guineans. Scott knocking it back. Meninga. He's the man they've heard a lot about, and he's the man they're trying to move up quickly onto to negate that weight advantage. Norm Carr going very close. Backer at dummy half. Tries to go through. Yes, it's a try. First try to Brad Backer. A little bit of defensive lapse there by the Kumals.
Yeah, bad defensive lapse on that blind side, all expecting the pass to go out wide, and Backer had actually motioned to pass that way, and it was effectively a dummy from that move, and it was a fairly simple matter for him to just skip across in the corner.
Big Mal Meninga, who kicked 7 goals in last week's match against Country. 26 points last week. He's hit it well, but it's out to the left, so the score's 3-0. 20-year-old youngster Brad Rowcliffe making a good burst. Beetson, Phelan, Lewis, Close, Meninga. He's caught by John Lingham. Well done. In fact, that was Neal, the winger, who came in and made another tackle there on Lewis. And the crowd loving this. The Papua New Guineans knocking down the bigger men. Prickett, Saunders, Hancock. That's the way to knock them down, low and hard. One to go. Beetson, bad pass in front of Lewis and Close. Backer, oh, high tackle. 6. Hey, too, Dave.
A good crowd, a vocal crowd, and they are enjoying the match so far. But even Beatson falling there for the problem of trying to get that ball out wide too quickly. The pass was still on. The idea was right, but really plenty of room there for the City players to move.
Lewis putting a good ball out. That's Meninga. Here's the chance for Big Gene Miles. Has he got the pace? Meninga might have, though. Meninga's going to go in for the first try for him. The second for the South East Queensland side under the post. But look at Wally Lewis's work. If we go right back, we'll see how Wally Lewis got away this pass magnificently.
Yeah, great work by Lewis, and once again Meninga coming into the fray. Here's the scrum win. Lewis has a go, turns it, does a little spin around, then he looks like he's going to ground. The dummy to Clays, back outside to Colin Scott, and there's Meninga on the fly. Here's Miles, he juggles the ball. Obviously foreign to the wing position, just not quite comfortable out there at the moment. The pass back inside to Meninga, the fend, see you later. And he only had to stroll in another 15 metres or so across the line, and an ominous sign for the Papua New Guinea boys.
Mal Meninga's first try, it's now 6 points to 0, and it's 8 points to 0 now. They're trailing 2 tries to none in the first 11 minutes of play. That's better. That's good defensive work, getting underneath the man. And it was number 12, which is John Wagambi, who's got the headband that's gone in low. Prickett. Carr. Good low tackle. Roadcliffe. And that's a penalty against the man who made the tackle, interfering. The man on the ground. Roadcliffe. Just the quarter line. Be interesting to see how Roadcliffe lasts in this game. There's some critics who said that he doesn't do enough work. Beatson. Also to see if Arthur Beatson can last the 80 minutes. Prickett. Saunders. He's got support on the left in Phelan. Can't slip it to him. Just a one-handed tap back by Phelan. Picked up well by Hancock. And he's cut down. Good low tackle. Made by Guinea. Beatson. Prickett. Prickett going hard. He's over the line, but he's just held up. There's a gold arm just underneath him. Hancock, a bad pass, was knocked astray by a Papua New Guinean hand. That's Saunders. Terry Saunders very close. There's one to go. Prickett. Lewis. Lewis trying to go on his own. He's beaten them. He'll score. Wally Lewis's brilliance once again. Not only his ability to pass and kick, but his strength. Well,
we're seeing willing defence from Papua New Guinea, but not really organised well enough. 2 players then come up very quickly on Lewis, but no straight line. There's no semblance of straight line there. That's Saunders there, going very close himself. And actually, the Datsun South East Queensland side go very close a couple of times, and really they're applying plenty of pressure. There's Lewis, straight between 2 players, a couple of poor attempts at tackle, and Lewis is a simple matter of going across right next to the post. So Mal Meninga has another gift from right in front, and it's the size and strength of the Queenslanders that's proving the difference now, and that makes it now 13-0. Caveau to restart. Notice how he angles the ball down to the ground, so it makes an awkward grubber-style kickoff. Beatson. Hit by Wananara. He's one of their best tacklers, the fellow right underneath with the headband. And forced South East Queensland to lose possession, so that's a scrum. They've won that scrum, their first scrum win, as against 4 by South East Queensland. So let's see what they do with the ball in their hands. From Joseph to the centre, Tinamo. He's the skipper of the side. A very rugged customer he is too. Joseph, 5'8". John Lingham. That's Tara Gow. Inside to Ralda. 10 metres inside Queensland territory. Joseph. And Wagambi's lost it. He thought he knocked it on. Yes, he did. They seem to be running in every which direction, and it's putting a little bit of confusion into the defensive pattern of the South East Queensland side. Chris Close, a hard man to bring down for anyone, let alone a little fellow of about 10 stone. Prickett. Phelan, or Hancock it is. Beatson.
Bad pass. Meninga's left it behind. The teammates just managed to pick it up. He looked like he was offside. Yes, he was. Didn't have much of a chance to see the attack of this Kumul side so far. They've only won one scrum. Let's have a look at them now. That's Philip Ralder back to Joseph, and coming through hard up the centre was the fullback Cavo, but Prickett right on the ball. Joseph. Tara Gow, the prop forward, biggest man in their side. It's Ralder. Gow again doing the run from the dummy half, but I don't think the Queenslanders will fall for that too often. Not gaining much ground. That's Ralder. And Wagumbi bouncing off Normie Carr, and away he goes again. 18 minutes gone and they trail 13-0. It's a Queensland ball again. There's plenty of room to move for Scott. Nice straight hard run, gaining about 20 metres. Saunders. Phelan showing a lot of pace too. Chris Phelan darting through, just ankle tapped and put down by the second row Wananara. He's got it back inside to Saunders. He'll score. There's a big gap there. Yes, Terry Saunders nips in for South East Queensland's fourth try.
Well, it came about from a good run by Phil and showed some good pace down the left-hand side. And I think the Papua New Guinean boys thought once he hit the ground that he was effectively stopped, but certainly not held, and it was his. He was at liberty to get up and run. There's his good run to start. Just ankle tap there. Down he goes. Now no one's holding him. Gets up very slowly. Is quite within his rights to run. Then waits and waits and waits. And here comes Saunders, and then Saunders has got the speed to go through the gap there and nip over for a sharp little try.
So 16-0 after 19 minutes play. It doesn't look good for the Kumuls. Here's Mal Meninga trying to make it 18, and yes, that's a good kick.
Penalty going to South East Queensland there for a forward pass. A marginal one at that. Gives the South East Queensland side a great opportunity to put another try on.
Roadcliffe. He's a hard fella to stop, but they've done it well. Low tackle by Ralder. Beatson looking for supporters, found Phelan, and Phelan's close, just repulsed. Prickett going over the top of his man, and he gets it down. Good try, a clever one. Just going straight over the top of the tackler, who went in low at the knees. But look at this.
Yes, and really came about from a couple of big runs. One from Roadcliffe to get them on the back foot. Here's Beatson showing his ball skills. Just hits this tackle, stands up for a long time, waiting for Phelan to get into position. There's the pass to Phelan. Looked like he might go in himself. And Prickett very keen to get the dummy half. He could see him there. He thought a try was on for himself. Goes from dummy half over the top of the defending player and in for a try.
So it's 21 points to 0. 5 tries have been scored. And here's Mal Meninga with his 5th kick at goal. And he's steered it through. It's 23-0. So you wonder what the Papua New Guineans can do. They're really outgunned as far as the weight goes. And that's a good kick. Second time in 2 kickoffs that they've found touch. Terry Saunders to play it. And Joffa lying on him. Phelan. Scott. Joey Kilroy had a very good game in the City Country match. That was the curtain raiser, so a lot of pressure on Scott. This is Prickett. Scott, Saunders, Beatson, just walking along, Artie Beatson. Phelan. Chris Phelan's over the line. Yes, it's a try. That's the 6th try scored by the South East Queensland side, and some very slack defence.
Yeah, poor effort there from Papua New Guinea. They had plenty of players in a position to defend, but really just weren't strong enough or determined enough to take Phelan out. Phelan is a strong runner from dummy half, but there they are waiting for him. And once you wait for a fellow like Phelan, he must end up going forward and goes well across the line.
Mal Meninga's scored 11 points so far. It's now 13, and the total is 28-0. Well, let's see if Cavo can do the trick and find touch for the 3rd time in succession. It's not a bad kick, but Beatson has it. And Wananara has him round the legs. Little Jack Wananara. Oh, he's turned his back on Niebling, bursting down the blind side. That's the halfway line. Saunders. Phelan. Saunders. Lewis. Wally Lewis just brushing through tacklers like they weren't there. He's left the ball behind, Gene Miles, and it's gobble ball. Joseph. Straight run by the 5'8". Ajoffa. Wananara. He's not too big for a second rower, is he? Ajoffa. And that's Tinamo. Joseph. Wagumbi. Guinea. Ajoffa. Gomia. Kapani. Walu Kapani's beaten a couple of tackles. There's the support. Here's a try. No, he didn't have the pace. But it's Kapani over the line, handling the second time, and that's brought the crowd alight. Well, watch Kapani here. He beats a couple of men with a step and then backs up and gets the pass to score. Well,
it was a sixth tackle. Backer was standing back as it was, and that really gave the opportunity for the New Guinea side to attack. And it was good work from them. Here's the ball out along the back line. Eventually comes out to a good little dummy there, out to Kapani. Kapani back on the inside. And it looked like here that he was going to set the centre up. Good run here from
Tinamo.
And then it looked like it was going to die there. A pass over the top, and this is this unorthodox play we come to expect. Bounces on the ground. Stands it back up. That's Kavu there. Pops it back inside like a basketball pass, and it was Kapani backing up again, the right winger, and he does well to step back inside. Niebling there in position, but just couldn't affect the tackle. Kapani in for a spectacular try.
So here's the chance for the extra 2 points. Linus Guinea, the hooker. No, that's a poor attempt. Well, it's very disappointing to say the least at half-time with a score like that, but I'd say the crowd would be just as entertained by that Scottish pipe band out there as they would have been by the play by Papua New Guinea. They've been very disappointing. They've had 6 tries to 1 scored against them, and the scrums, I think, tell the story. 11-4, the count to the Queensland side at this stage. But Queensland in the error count have had 12 errors to Papua New Guinea's 5. But I don't really think you can say much more, Dave, except that it's the good little man against the good big man.
Yes, it is, Peter, but really I think they've lacked a little bit of organisation. Their defensive pattern isn't good, and the whole basis of modern-day rugby league today is a straight line of defence. You don't lose that straight line, and unfortunately, whilst they've got a lot of willing workers out there, they're falling down on the fact that they're not continuing that straight line. It's been a poor workout for the South East Queensland side, but we wanted a tight, hard match leading up to the New South Wales match. We're not getting it. If they enjoy the type of possession they got in the first half, we're in for another cricket score.
And the kick-off by Papua New Guinea goes past Niebling to Carr. It's a good low tackle by Jack Wananara. Niebling. They've got to go in hard and low. That's the big thing about defence, of course. Look at someone like Kerry Bowstead. He's a classic example of a little man who can bring down bigger men. 10 metres short of halfway. And speaking of Kerry Bowstead, the first interstate game against New South Wales here at Lang Park on Tuesday, the 2nd of June. Tickets on sale as from now. Prickett, Saunders, Lewis. On the burst is Niebling. And he puts close through the gap, but it's forward. Offside. Penalty. Let's see that one again.
Interesting to see that again, because Niebling did well to be out there, stayed in position, did well to offload the ball, and Close was on the burst, went into the gap. Here it is now on the replay. Good backline movement, because the there's Niebling, pops the ball up. I thought it looked all right to me, and Close bursting onto the ball. Near thing for the referee.
Chris Close has been a bit frustrated in this game. He's yet to score a try. Hasn't had much of clean breaks. Just outside the quarter line, the Kumals on the attack, working the blind side. That's Tara Gow, the prop forward. And it's a penalty
the Kummel's way against Brian Niebling. Getting a bit over vigorous in that tackle. And the penalties are now 7-3 Papua New Guinea's way. They've had 2-0 in the second half. So let's hear the cheer for them to try and score the second try. That's Guinea, Joffa and Joseph, caught by Norm Carr. Joffa, Guinea. The captain, David Tinamo, into dummy half. Arthur Beetson is talking to the referee as he's getting up. Tinamo. Brought down by Terry Saunders and Carr. Joffa going for a drop goal. It rebounds off Phelan.
Well, that is unorthodox. They're down 28 points to 3, and he was going to attempt to put a one-pointer on the board. Really, Bomb would have been better served.
Saunders doing well to get into the field of play. Tackled by Wananara. Tackle count to restart. Prickett. Carr. Saunders. He's cut out Saunders. It's gone to Lewis. That's off the side of the boot by Wally Lewis. A poor kick. And Curry Neal caught by Miles. That's the fullback, Cavo. Phelan, the tackler. Guinea running into the referee. That's the winger, Neal. Guinea. Joseph. Wagumbi, the lock forward. Wananara. Lingham. Valani. Now he's into touch. Kapani. Walu Kapani, the fellow who scored the first try. He's the man I said scored 7 tries in the club game, and you can believe it. He's got a bit of ability.
He was lightning fast down that touchline. It looked almost that he was going to scamper away, but a good backline movement there, and Chris Close beaten pointlessly in that passage of play.
The man who beat him was John Lingham, who only weighs 10 stones, so it just shows that you don't have to be big, but it helps. Prickett. Carr. Radcliffe. Running off Beetson's pass and taking it up almost to the quarter line. Phelan. Good defence by Wananara. And Raldi. Niebling. Prickett. Niebling again. Scott. Showing a bit of pace, but Collin on the halfway line by Cavo. Saunders. Lewis. Close. He puts Meninga into the gap. Meninga throws the dummy. He'll score. They won't catch Big Mal Meninga, showing tremendous pace down the sideline, and he goes over for his second and South East Queensland's 7th try.
Well, that try came about by the Papuans not being able to recover quickly enough. The original break was made there, and this is the play the ball after the break that was made up the middle. And there's a couple of Papuans still getting back in position. It must mean that a men are over. Good play on the inside men here. Both Close and Meninga chiming in beautifully. The little dummy there takes the winger out, and Meninga just too much pace and too much strength, just touched on the ankle but never was going to knock him over. And Meninga there again, still no cover defenders coming across to prevent him going in underneath the sticks, and it's a simple matter to trot around with a couple of players chasing him to go and put the ball right down under the sticks and make it easy for his own goal kick.
And so that takes the score into the 30s, 31 points to 3, and Mal Meninga is going to have another field day with the points scoring. It's 33 points to 3. And a clever little kick-off, a change of tactics. The ball just carrying the 10 metres. Meninga picking it up. He's scored 18 points so far. We've still got 33 minutes left in the game. Chris Close has knocked it on. Papua New Guineans will travel back home again after this game. It's a shame, really, that they can't play a few more games in Queensland. They will play a match against Australia when Australia travels to England and France at the end of the season. Beatson, Phelan, just over halfway. Niebling, Beatson, Scott. Oh, no, it isn't. It's Norm Carr. Tackled upended by Wagumbi. Scott. Guinea, the tackler. And it's a penalty against that man, Linus Guinea. Well, you've got to say one thing for the Papua New Guineans: their jerseys and the whole outfits are about the most colourful you'd ever see. That's Rowcliffe to Prickett. Oh, good play. South East Queensland only 10 metres from the line. Carr, Saunders, Lewis, Beatson. Beatson cleaving a pass straight through and to Phelan. Phelan to Meninga, and Meninga goes over for his third. Yes, it's a try.
Too much ability in this Queensland countryside, too much strength and too much thinking. They're moving the ball well. Here, that was a good passage of play there, and once again the Papuans still getting back into position after Rowcliffe had popped that pass there to Prickett. Prickett up to play the ball. Now there was going to be a wrap around here, Saunders to Lewis, but Saunders was never going to make it. So Lewis does well. He pops the ball before Saunders has come around, finds Beatson. Beatson through the gap. They don't want to tackle him, and Beatson's got plenty of time to pop the pass up to Phelan. Phelan takes the tackle. Malcolm Meninga takes it in one hand, as easy as you like it, puts it down with the other.
We rejoin the match with the score 38 points to 3. Mal Meninga has converted that last try of his, so he's scored 3 tries and kicked 7 goals from 8 shots and now has a personal tally of 23 points. But overall, South East Queensland lead Papua New Guinea by 38 points to 3. Arthur Beatson with a big pad on his elbow, you can see. It's quite legitimate these days. And a good shove from the Kumul side. Joseph. Joffa. Wagumbi. That's Tinamo. John Lingham at dummy half. Knocked on by Curry Neal. And defence turned into attack for the Brisbane side, or the South Queensland side. That's Backer, Meninga. Niebling to play it. Prickett, Saunders, Phelan, Lewis. Wally Lewis scheming all the while, puts the pass out. Gene Miles has muffed it.
Gene Miles has looked rather uncomfortable on the wing this afternoon. He always seems to have been in a position where when he has taken the ball, he's always been looking for support, and he hasn't really played like a winger should, and he hasn't been in the right frame of mind to finish movements. He's always been trying to carry them on.
Joffa feeds the scrum. It's a good clean strike by Gary Prickett, and there's a big gap for Saunders. Wagumbi's missed him, but he's knocked the ball out of his hands. Away goes John Lingham. Oh, good tackle by Chris Close, and an acrobatic leap in the air by the fullback Cavo. That's Tara Gow, the prop forward, taking it up. Guinea. Had Joseph steaming up, but couldn't slip it to him. That's Wananara. Still got the pass back. His teammates certainly weren't expecting it. And that's John Lingham. Kapani. He's a crowd pleaser, this fella, but hasn't had many opportunities. Kapani getting it away. That's the captain, David Tinamo, going down in possession, and looks like Niebling's hurt his knee there, or his ankle.
How many's Meninga?
12 minutes gone in the second half. The score is still 38 points to 3 as the scrum goes down about 8-9 metres inside Kumul territory. Queensland ball. Terry Saunders to play it. Carr. Lewis, the switch of play. Look at that pass. Beautiful. Scott. He's beaten the tackle of Lingham. Colin Scott steaming down the sideline. Lovely tackle by Caveau, the fullback. Wagumbi had missed him, but Caveau lined up his man well. And still the Papua New Guineans slow getting back. Lewis, the long pass again, firing it out to Roadcliffe, to Close. Close, still going. He's a hard man to stop. Prickett directing traffic. Phelan. Caught by Kuri Neal and Taragao. Prickett, Saunders, Lewis, Beatson, Phelan. Phelan will score. No, it's Normie Carr over between the posts. The South East Queensland's 9th try.
Simple try there by South Queensland because they moved the ball well from the base of the ruck and a couple of long passes. Saunders and Lewis out to Beatson. Beatson standing very wide. There's Saunders and Lewis. There's Beatson. And all Beatson has to do is stand up the defence. He does it because he's the old master, Artie Beatson. And Norm Carr steaming onto the ball, looking like he's doing 200 mile an hour because Beatson has stood the defence up and stopped them in their tracks. And Norm Carr waltzes over and puts the ball down right under the sticks.
Well, Mal Meninga could throw it over from there. That takes his tally to 25 points and the score 43-3. So the restart of play. You're wondering now whether Meninga can beat his 26 points of last week, and of course if South East Queensland can score over 50 points. Miles, he'll have to pull his socks up a bit to try and hold his place on the stateside. Roadcliffe. Of course, for the Queenslanders, they can't drop their game now, can they, Dave? They've got to keep going to impress the selectors.
Yes, but it's an unfortunate position, really, because it's such an open game. A fellow like Roadcliffe, say, who really had to show that he could get in and mix it with some tight, hard defence, isn't getting that opportunity. It's not a big front rowers game.
Oh, lovely pass from Miles. That's Carr, that's Saunders. And Saunders just dances away and goes in for the 10th try right underneath the posts. 46 points to 3. But that was a good try.
Queensland country doing it easy and showing some good backup, and it's little more than a training run for them here now. They're always looking for support, and the Papuans falling down for the fact that they're not putting players to the ground, and really they're not hitting and driving with their tackles. They're allowing players to stand in their tackles like there. Nice little pass back. There's Phelan. Phelan makes a bit of a dash, uses his strength, up again, not held. That's the second time he's done that. He doesn't know when to die, Chris Phelan. And here's the ball coming out here. Miles does some good footwork here. The pass is on the back inside, a one-handed one. Nice work there. There's Norm Carr, and Saunders backing up well on the inside. Really a training run, and Saunders scampers away. Miles too much pace for any of the Papua New Guinean boys, but really they're nowhere near him anyway. And I possibly could have scored that one from there. And Saunders jogging around, placing the ball under the sticks, and Malcolm Meninga, a simple effort to convert that try.
There's a change in the Papuan side as Brian Niebling's got a kick in the head after that incident. We might just have a look at that if we can see it again. While I just tell you about this change, Ayuta Ayako is on for John Joseph. And you'll see what happened to Brian Niebling here. A very courageous dive at this ball. He stops it using his football brain because he knew he'd knock it on if he tried to use his hands there. And went down on the ball. And as he went down, you'll watch he gets a kick in the head from this player coming in. And there it is. Brian Niebling with a few headaches. As play starts again, Brad Roadcliffe rampaging away. Terry Saunders taking the crumbs, but he's offside. That's going to be a penalty. That was a good run by Roadcliffe, and he's impressed me again today, Dave. There's been a few critics of him, but I think he's tremendous talent at 20.
He is a talented player, Peter, but I just wonder whether we can afford against New South Wales two players, one such as Beats and the other such as Roadcliffe, because we must be looking at defence and work rate. We've certainly got a side here possibly capable of scoring around about 15 to 20 points against New South Wales, but gee, if we're going to let in 25 to 30 points, we're not going to be in the hunt. So what I'm looking at there is we must balance the side, and we must have players in there prepared to do a lot of tackling, because Beatson's not going to be able to do his 30 and more tackles in a game, and both of these players, if they are picked, must look at picking up their work rate.
Tinamo, Lingham, Niebling making the tackle, showing he's okay after that kick in the head. That's Genny, Wagumbi. Second row, Wananara. Gow. Slipping it back to The new player who's on number 8 is Ayako, holding the ball. He replaced John Joseph. Now Wagumbi, the lock forward, has gone out to 5'8" for the Papuans, marking Lewis. Scott. Cole Scott's played pretty well too, Dave, although Joe Kilroy had a very good game in the curtain raiser.
Kilroy did particularly well with the high ball in the curtain raiser. They put pressure on him, and Kilroy went up a couple of times and took it brilliantly, and certainly would have impressed the selectors with his takes under pressure.
Norm Carr injured, holding his knee, so play's going to stop for Norm Carr to get some treatment. And the Papuans have won a scrum, and they're running the ball around, but good defence by a couple of the Queenslanders, Lewis and Saunders. Wananara has had the ball stolen by Carr. That's a penalty. Norm Carr adding insult to his injury, giving away a penalty. A tap kick. A long pass from Gow out to Kapani. Kapani to play it. Back to Ayako. And up inside the 10 metres were Rowcliffe and Beatson. The tap kick again. That's Ayako. Oh, a dangerous pass, and Meninga has flattened one of the Papuan players as he came through onto that ball. Poleaxed, hasn't moved a muscle. The play going on. Beatson in possession. Rowcliffe. Phelan. Prickett on the wing of all places. We heard the Papuans roved around and played out of position, but that's something else. Lewis, there's a big gap out there, and that's where Lewis is trying to get it to Beatson. Close, here's the gap for Meninga, and Meninga has got clear daylight ahead of him and plenty of pace, although Wagumbi's giving chase. Mal Meninga's over for his 4th try for the 2nd week in succession.
One of the pleasing things to come out of today's game is that this Queensland countryside is reading the game well, because what New South Wales do is if there's a gap on, the ball gets to that position. And all credit to this southeast Queensland side. Lewis and Beatson knew it was there. So the good long passes close into the gap. There was only one man left for Close to take out. Meninga a clear run to the line. And like I said, they've read the play well. They have had the ability to really read the play, get the ball to the weaknesses, and that's why it's such a good score this afternoon.
So that try brings up the 50 points, 51 points to 3. The kick is missed, but Mal Meninga still has 30 points. Kungas Kavo, the fullback, is going off the field. He was very sportingly helped off the field, in fact carried by 2 of the Queensland players, Lewis and Close, and a couple of Papuan officials. Rowcliffe. So I assume Harry Aopi's the replacement, the only fresh reserve. Yes, he has come on in number 14 jersey. Niebling. It's touched by Papuas. The tackle count restarts. And still the Queensland team have 17 minutes in this game to keep scoring points. They're already up to 51. So we could see the highest score ever recorded at Lang Park in a representative game. I wonder how far back your memory goes, Dave.
Well, I certainly didn't figure in wins such as this, Peter, but look, you know, they're just running at will at the moment, and we could quite easily be looking at possibly 70 points or more, and it's going to take a spirited effort by the New Guineans and the crowd getting behind them there, because they like to support the underdog traditionally here at Lang Park, and really it's going to need a lift in their performances. They're obviously completely outclassed in the match, but if they're not going to be thoroughly disgraced, we should see a lift in their performance this afternoon. But really, I think the point is that they have been outclassed. They've come up against better players, better conditioned, and players with the ability to be able to read the play better than what New Guineans have. And having spoken to a couple of them at the reception by the QRL on Friday night, one of the problems they've got in New Guinea is the coaching. They haven't got any organised coaching, and this is something that they're going to have to work on, because they really aren't up to the international rugby league at this stage.
Well, for the South East Queensland players, they're still trying, because they want to get in that Queensland side. Chris Close is still yet to score a try. He's not too happy about that ruling by referee Bickle. It was a forward pass, an offside ruling, and so the penalty kick going to Papua New Guinea. That's Tara Gow. Ayako. Wananara. Ayako again. And they just seem so easy to tackle, don't they, though, compared to the big Queenslanders?
Yes, well, they haven't had too much ball either, Peter, and this has been a problem. I think if this side had the majority of possession that the South Queensland side has enjoyed, we may have seen a little bit more sparkle from them, but really all their strength has been sapped from the fact that South Queensland country have had all that ball. The New Guinea boys have been called on to do all the tackling, and little men just cannot keep that up, and they've just been worn down.
Tinamo, a little bit of a change of tactics. I didn't agree with that. Let's see that again. I don't think that was a knock-on, do you?
No way. He dropped that ball on his foot. He had every intention of doing the little grubber kick through there, and Tinamo really thinking there well, because the defence was up on all his supports. Here it is here now. Wally Lewis confronts him, drops the ball onto his foot. No way in the world was that a knock-on.
No.
However, Mr. Bickle felt it was.
Saunders, Lewis. And following round is Norm Carr. Now look at the forwards just walking across there. No one wants it. Content to leave it to the backs. Lewis. Lewis making the dummy, and he's got the fullback to beat. Good tackle from Harry Aopi, who's gone into fullback. No, it wasn't. It was the winger, Curry Neal. Kapati's across there too, the other winger. Saunders. Stummied one. Kapani the tackler again. Backer. Prickett. Found Niebling. That's a hopeful pass out to Jen Miles. He's lost it. And it'll be a scrum. But this fellow Meninga is the man that I want to see against New South Wales. He could be a sensation this year. Could even go on and play for Australia, as could Chris Close or Wally Lewis.
Yeah, they've all done everything right in the last couple of weeks, and really with the amount of possession they've enjoyed, the backliners look good, and let's face it, people are going to say, well, look, let's not get carried away, but they've got the ball and they've done a great job with it, so that's the first step. Sure, they're going to be under a lot more pressure against New South Wales, a lot less room to move, but we've certainly got some great attacking spearheads there in the back line.
Now the Papuans trying to ruck it away from their own quarter. That's the new player Ayako, normally a lock forward. From Lingham to Tinamo. Lingham again. Lewis the tackler. One to go. Kapani. Little chip through, he's got it back. Good play. But that's the end of it. Pretty hard to keep yourself motivated when you're leading by 50 points. 51-3 for the Queenslanders. There's still 13 minutes left. Scrum win to the Kummels. Aopi, Kapani, and a touch. I expected something a little bit more unorthodox when I heard about these fellas, David, something along the Fijian style, but they haven't, I suppose, had good possession, not enough possession to try very much.
I think that's been the problem, and really the country, the South Queensland countryside has never really allowed them to settle into any sort of play. Their defence has been up quickly. It's been a spoiling type defence, and the Papuans have been unable to settle down in what they'd call their unorthodox style.
That's Tara Gow, the prop forward. Wagumbi now at 5'8". From Ajoffa out to Tinemo. Lewis has been doing his share of tackling. Ralda. Gow. Ajoffa. Tinemo. It's going to go out in the full. It's a pretty aimless sort of a kick.
So often we see players new to Lang Park who do kick the ball out on the full tactically, and the reason being that it appears with the fences being so far away from the sideline that they can't pick up the touch lines as clearly, and they fall for the trap.
Colin Scott sees daylight, spurts ahead, and is caught just outside the quarter line. by Aopi. Beats it. Lewis close. He's mucked it up, knocked it on. It'll be a scrum. Do you think these two big centres, Chris Close and Mel Meninga, are going to prove a little bit too cumbersome against perhaps a slightly faster back line from New South Wales, or do you think they are up to it in pace?
Well, I don't think they lack too much in pace, Peter. They're up against Mick Cronin and presumably Steve Rogers. We're not too sure at this stage. There's talk of Noel Cleal possibly coming in, and it would be interesting to see if New South Wales felt that it was necessary to put a player such as Cleal in, a big, strong man as Cleal, much in the mould of Meninga. They felt they had to put a fellow like Cleal in to attempt to contain these two centres. Certainly a great centre combination we've got there, and it would be great to see New South Wales forced into a position where their selections were forced by the class players we've got in our side.
Well, the Papuans throwing it around. That's the halfway line, and it's played back to Ralda, Gao, Wananara.
Just to clarify that too, Peter, I wouldn't be suggesting there that Rogers wouldn't make the side somewhere. He'd be playing lock forward for Cronulla for his club down there, and certainly he must be in the side somewhere.
That's not a knock on. The referee indicating it came off the leg of Gene Miles, so it's play on. Rowcliffe, Meninga. Meninga's clapped on the pace again down the sideline. He wants to go for his 5th try. Beautifully done back to backer. Yes, it's legal. It was a good pass. Now that was the touch of class there from Mal Meninga. Watch this again as he brushes off a few tackles, sees he can't do it himself and turns it back to Brad Backer.
Yes, and the two front rowers clear the ruck here. Beatson and Rowcliffe. Good thinking play from Rowcliffe. There goes Beatson to start with. He fires a long ball out. There's Rowcliffe. Knew he had nowhere to go. He fires the next long ball out. And Meninga, daylight again. Away he goes. And he's just got so much time, so much balance. A sign of a player that just knows exactly what he's doing. Pops the ball up, you'll notice, and that gives Backer so much time to come onto it. He could have picked the ball up on the way up, or on the way down. Beautiful work from Meninga, and Brad Backer flying across in the corner for a very smart try.
54 points to 3. Mal Meninga has already scored 30 points, and he's just missed that one. Well, there's a couple of players seemingly carrying injuries. Terry Saunders has just had treatment. Wagumbi is in the hands of the Papuan trainer down there, but the play's going to go on with City aiming for 60 points. They've still got 7 minutes to do it. That's Colin Scott. He's broken away. He's only got the fullback Aopi to beat, and he's found support in Meninga. Meninga pops it up. The man outside him was held before he got the ball. Colin Scott again. Backer, Lewis, Saunders. They should be able to score from here. Prickett, Niebling, Miles. And good defence from Papua New Guinea. The tackle made right at the other side of the field. Prickett, Phelan, Niebling again. Prickett, Lewis. A long pass. Look at that, 20 metres. Scott. Those long passes are the reason that I've always thought Wally Lewis could be a good 5/8, and there he goes. He's put Phelan into the gap. Chris Phelan's got Meninga behind him, but he's missed the ball. And Backer goes in for his 3rd try.
Well, I'm running out of things to say about these tries. It's just a procession now, and the countryside running at will, Queensland country. There's Lewis, pops the pass up. Phelan, I thought, would go it all the way himself. Just taken in defence there. Meninga looking for his 3rd one. Couldn't believe it when it went over his shoulder. Would have been his 5th, sorry. And there's Backer coming in to pick up the loose ball.
Well, Artie Beatson reckons that Mal Meninga's had enough of the limelight with 33 points so far. So Wally Lewis has a kick, yes. He's raised the flags and made the score 59 to 3. Mal Meninga picking up the ball from the kick-off, making a strong run. Saunders. So they're only 1 point off the 60, and I can't recall any score over 60 in my 10 years up here in representative football. Although I do recall Cyril Connell saying once that he played in a Queensland side here at Lang Park, or it may have been the exhibition ground, that got beaten by 60-odd points by New South Wales. But in the same series, they also won a couple of games. It was certainly not one-sided in those days, and I don't expect a one-sided interstate series this year, do you, Dave? I think this is one of the best Queensland sides, or potentially, that we've had in the last decade.
Well, Peter, I'm sure it is, because we've got some attacking spearheads in the side, and I can recall in the few seasons that I played for Queensland, we went out there with the sole intention of tackling ourselves into the ground and hoping really to get enough points on the board, and by the end of the game that we'd have enough or more than what New South Wales had. But in this side, we've got a side that can attack in their own right. But one thing, and the biggest danger in that, is that we cannot forget defence. Defence still the most important part of the game. And really, this side hasn't had a defensive preparation by any means, because they've had 2 monstrous wins in the last 2 weeks, and that doesn't all go well for Artie Beetson in his coaching methods to get a good defensive pattern. They've just had it too easy. And really, you can be sure of one thing, that it won't be easy on Tuesday week when the Blues come out there and they come up in that perfect straight line of defence. But sure, we've got a good side here, one that is capable of beating New South Wales if we play to our ability and if we put up a great defensive performance, because that's what it takes. For players this afternoon to impress, in particular in the South Queensland side, I think that the Papuans were basically outclassed and really couldn't handle the might of the South Queensland side. But the players to impress, I thought, well, let's go through player for player. Colin Scott, I think he's going to have some pressure put on him by Joe Kilroy, because Kilroy had a top game in the first match this afternoon. Also, Brad Backer must be one of the wingers in the Queensland side that's picked tonight. Really, the back line looks almost intact, apart from Gene Miles under some degree of pressure. That you've got to come up with someone who's going to do a better job. I thought Miles just looked a little bit out of position. A very classy winger and a player with a lot of ability, but classy centre, I should say, but one that really didn't impress in the wing spot this afternoon. Wally Lewis looks cemented in that 5'8" position. He's a class player. Lewis and Norm Carr must be in the side. I think Norm Carr wouldn't perform at 5'8", so you've got to pick Wally Lewis there. And Terry Saunders.
There's a break. Steaming away is Tenimo, and the pass is intercepted, but that was a good break by that was the halfback Ajoffa, actually, Ajoffa, who made the break. And McNeil has come on in the last seconds of the game, replacing Wally Lewis, who has a slight injury but nothing serious. Sorry, Dave, where you go?
To carry on now with the forwards, Norm Carr, a certainty at the lock forward position. Norm Carr always lifts himself for Queensland, and I've never seen him put in a bad game for Queensland. A key member in the side over a number of years now. Phelan has really impressed me, a better player than actually I thought he was. He's playing in the second row, normally a lock forward for his club, and he has really impressed me in the couple of matches in the last 2 weeks.
That's Gene Miles. He's hemmed in. Meninga, here's a chance. Meninga's McNeil's overrun him, and it's a knock-on. So you've got about 20 or 30 seconds, Dave, to sum it up.
Well, just in summary, if Rowan Hancock's fit, I'd have him in the front row. Rowcliffe, I think, has got a great deal of potential, but I don't think we can afford to carry 2 big lumbering front rowers such as Beetson and Rowcliffe. And I'd pick Niebling in the other second row spot, because I'm sure we need some workers in there. We need fellas who are going to pull off about 30 to 35 tackles in that match and make up for probably the couple that Arthur Beetson isn't going to be able to get there for. And in saying that, I don't expect Beetson to have a picnic out there when the defensive department is required, because Beetson's such a great player and will lift himself. He did in the State of Origin match, and he'll do it again here for Queensland on Tuesday week.
Well, Chris Close trying desperately to score a try. Here's the 60 points coming up if they can make it, but they can't. And so the full-time score, South East Queensland defeating Papua New Guinea by 59 points to 3, having led 28 points to 3 at half-time.
Well, it's not easy to pick the ABC Winfield Try Award in this match that featured 14 tries. However, 1 try stood out, the one and only one scored by Papua New Guinea. Well, Lou Kapani scored it, and he handled twice to score this unorthodox try.
Wagumbi, Guinea, Ajoffa, Gumia, Kapani, Walu Kapani. He's beaten a couple of tackles. There's the support. Here's a try. No, he didn't have the pace. But it's Kapani over the line.